I should have set this up a bit better. You know, like with the
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh well.
just
Doesn't seem to affect you.
it'll work. Hello and welcome along to MPM418 Strategy and Project Organisations Week 5. So far we've looked at the idea of strategy being about the future, being about where we are now and where we want to go and how to get there. We've looked at strategy being about change fundamentally, and so I guess that's why it's been included in a project management course, because the ideas of strategy and projects are fundamentally and intrinsically bound together, because projects are designed to deliver some kind of change. They don't maintain the status quo, and perhaps you're realising that maybe that's why they're difficult, and the role of a project manager is challenging and but also exciting and rewarding, because fundamentally projects involve some kind of change. Strategy is all about moving us from where we are to where we need to be. It's about aligning ourselves with our future goals. And so it's no surprise that a course on strategy is included in the project management degree. We've looked at levels of strategy, how strategy operates in a business environment at corporate, business and operational levels. We've explored concepts of strategy in the public sector and the private sector. In the public sector, it's interesting because it often public sector agencies are government organisations, and they exist under legislation, and they can be easily changed at the stroke of a pen, metaphorically speaking, and so it's often difficult to plan long term. So one of your challenges is to explore those differences between private sector strategy and public sector strategy. Where are the similarities, and how could strategy be applied in the public sector, where we're not too worried about competitive advantage. We've also looked at how to think strategically, how to use systems thinking when tackling complex scenarios. Then we looked at the processes used in strategic management, and we went along the tack of environmental analysis and strategy implementation and strategic risk. So this week, I want to introduce you to the idea of strategy and projects. In case you're wondering what the course is about, it's about strategy and projects. The two concepts are vitally interconnected, because strategy drives projects, and projects in turn can inform strategy. We'll consider projects as vehicles of strategic change, as I mentioned before, either for your organisation, or if you have a customer, for your customer's organisation for whom you're undertaking the project. The two major themes of this week are, firstly, organisational change. In order for many projects to succeed, there must be a change in the organisation. Sometimes this involves cultural change, which, as I've said, is a challenge in the way the project is executed, and sometimes it involves change that ensures that the project can transition smoothly to a business as usual state. Such change can involve structural change, cultural change, job and task change, personnel change, leadership change, procedural and policy change, and business process change. So you can see the common denominator there is change, is that projects involve change, and so they're vitally connected to strategy. The second major theme is the linking of projects to strategy. How do we align projects? How do we select projects? How do we generate projects that line up with our strategy? How do we know that, as an author called Dinsmore said, that we're doing the right projects, and as he put it in his book entitled Doing the Right Projects Right. So project managers get very concerned about doing their project right, but in this course we're really concerned with, are we doing the right projects? But how do we do that? How do we make sure we're doing the right projects? How do we know? We'll research and synthesise a range of approaches for keeping the linkage to strategy very tight, so that they get the outcomes needed. Now, you've probably studied a unit called Economic, Social and Environmental Analysis. It depends where you are in your course and what your study history is, but you may have done that unit. And you may have looked at some concepts around project selection and feasibility, and maybe you're thinking, oh, this is just a bit of repeat of that. But our focus is a little bit different. Our focus is looking at your strategic goals, looking at the candidate projects that come up, and they could be internal projects or they could be tender opportunities or whatever. And how do you select projects? How do you make sure that you're doing the right projects that carry you towards your strategic goals? I think this lecture brings together the world of projects and project management with the world of strategy. Once you've formed your strategic intent, you can do those projects that carry you towards your targets. And you've got some way of screening or selecting appropriate projects or opportunities in the marketplace. You can also start to structure and align your business with that of your target customers. So fundamentally, you've got to know where you're wanting to go. And then you've got to know that the type of projects and the type of actions and the type of initiatives, there's a variety of names for it. You've got to be able to look at your strategic objectives and screen candidate projects and candidate opportunities so that you're only doing those that line up with your strategic intent. So enjoy this week as we delve into the world of projects and strategy. Thank you. That's 5.